Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. An important issue in the law of inheritance, which of course relates to the realm of the economic directive of Islam, is the issue that how much a person can will in favor of someone. Is there a limit to his authority of willing an amount in favor of someone? Now, if we study the Quran, we find that there is no such limit. A person can will as much as he wants to in favor of a deceased, of an heir, of course. But however, he must keep in mind that he must do no injustice to any of his heirs by making such a will. Now, there is a narrative of the Prophet on the basis of which it is derived that a person cannot make cannot give a will or cannot make a will which is beyond 1/3 of his wealth, and he must make this will which should remain within this 1/3 of share. Now, if we study the narrative, we come to the conclusion that this narrative has an entirely different story to tell. It has a very specific situation, a very specific background in which a companion of the Prophet asked him that he wanted to donate or he wanted to will all his money after his death for the cause of God. And the Almighty, the Prophet, when he saw this or when he heard this, he said this would be too much, because he would be depriving some of his heirs by donating all his wealth, by willing all his wealth for the cause of God. And he said this would not be appropriate. So that person said, that if he does donate or makes a will of 2/3 of his wealth for the cause of God? The Prophet again replied in the same manner, and then that person reduced his amount and said, what if he donates, or if he makes a will of half the amount of his wealth for the cause of God after his death? Again the Prophet said that this would be too much. He replied in a similar manner. And then that person said, what if he does 1/3? What if he donates or makes a will of 1/3 of his wealth for the cause of God? The Prophet said, okay, this would be appropriate. So on the basis of this narrative, it is construed that one cannot make a will beyond 1/3 of his wealth. Now, one can very clearly say that the Prophet in this particular situation, in this particular narrative, was, of course, can be seen, he was replying to one of his companions, keeping in view the situation of that companion. It's not a statement of law. He was not giving a command or a directive to the Muslims in their general capacity and in their general sense. All he was doing was he was dealing with a specific situation of a companion which had arisen, and this narrative, of course, cannot be made any basis of any law on the basis of which any restriction can be imposed on a deceased person or a person who wants to make a will for the society or for anyone he wants to. So therefore, the bottom line is that a person is entitled to make a will in favor of the society or for any person he wants to, and there is no limit, there is no upper limit to this. Of course, he must be just, he must be fair, but as far as the Quran and the narratives of the Prophet are concerned, there is no specific limit which is imposed on his right to make a will. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين والمسلمات.